Hi Booktube, I am caffeinated. I am alone, which just means no distractions, and I felt like filming. So you're getting a bunch of unprepared tags from me, and we're continuing, rather, I don't know which order I'm gonna film these and upload these all in, but right now I have in front of me the info dump bookish tag, created by Books and Chocoholic, and I found it on the Booktube Goddesses channel, so both those videos will be down below. Let's jump into it. Question 1. How many books do you read on average each month? And on average, it's probably around 5 or 6 books a month, and that's really averaged because there's some books where it's like 20. There's some months, rather, where it's 20 books a month, or in some months where it's like 3 books. But mostly it's around 5 or 6. 2. How many books are on your TBR list? Between my wrapped books, my ebooks, and my audiobooks, 1,000 or so. I like buying books. The possibility of running out of things to read terrifies me. So yeah, I like having lots of things around me to read. 3. How are your bookshelves organized? Let me not show you, because my tripod actually is a little shifty. I haven't invested in a new one because this one, it does the job well enough. It could be better, but it does well enough. Anyways, we're not talking about tripods, we're talking about bookshelves. This bookshelf, which is out of frame, those 2 bookshelves are my brother's. And these ones, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 all together here. And then there's a bookshelf in my room. The bookshelf in my room is like fan books. So there are books about or around Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who. There's one book about Supernatural, and some books about Stargate on there too. So that's like novelizations, comics, nonfiction, and that kind of stuff. And this bookshelf behind me is children's books, pop-up books up there, children's books, and then comics, and those are organized by publisher. So you can't see it, but DC, Marvel, we have Jeff Smith here, but these are all Image and other. Those 2 shelves are other. And then we have my Wheel of Time series up here, along with just some random books that were placed there, and then my red books, which are organized by author's last name mostly, and then there's piles of books down here that I have to sort through. And piles of books everywhere. There's books all around me here that are just kind of have to be shelved. So that's not really organized, is it? Question 4. Which genres do you read in most? I like to think that I kind of read from a different variety of things. Lately I've been leaning a lot towards nonfiction. I think fantasy is really well represented in my current reading. Science fiction, not so much. I really love science fiction, but haven't been reading as much science fiction lately. And a lot of, I don't know what to call it. I call it generally fiction, or literary fiction. I'm not sure what separates the line between fiction and literary fiction, but yeah, all over the place with genres. What genres do you own the most of? And that'd probably be fantasy, mostly because I have multiple copies of the Wheel of Time series. And I am big into fantasy, and was big into fantasy as well. Yeah. What is your preferred form of reading? To be honest, if I had to like honestly choose, it'd be a nice hardback. I love hardback books. But I'm not picky at all. I listen to every month. I listen to an audiobook, I read an ebook, and I read physical books. So yeah, I really don't have a preferred format really, but like if you held a gun to my head and said you have to choose which one of these books to read and format to read in, it would be hardcover. Who is your most owned author? And Robert Jordan. So I have most of the Wheel of Time series in hardcover with the jackets. I'm buying them all used, so that's why I don't have all of them, and I have them in like spots here and there. And then I also have them in the mass market paperbacks, and that's dusty. Sorry. Oof. I haven't gotten to book 14 yet. That's why it's covered in dust. So yeah, I own them in these two formats, in physical formats, and then I also own the audiobooks as well. And I was thinking about the ebooks, but I think that's a little excessive at this point. So yeah, Robert Jordan is my most owned author. 8, describe your favorite writing style. Experimental, without a doubt. I love Mark Z. Danilevsky's, the way he experiments with the words on the page. I recently discovered Ian Williams. I'm currently reading Not Anyone's Anything, and there's some interesting bits here. Oh, that's the beginning there. So we have this is flashcards going on between two characters. So we have the Korean here, their interpretation, and the actual interpretation on the back there. And then there's this part where I'm at right now, where we have two stories going on at once, but one takes place in the basement. So that seems really cool. And then the last story actually has musical notations in it as well. So yeah, experimental writing is my favorite. Number 9, which literary device do you like and dislike? Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember the words for literary devices. I'm just gonna Google this while rambling on about random stuff. Oh yes, okay, alliteration. I love it. No, alliteration is good. Rhythm. If in a prose book you can get a rhythm going in certain scenes that reflect the scene. There's a scene in the second book in the Malazan series, I'm horrible with names, they're walking, they just got through this really bad battle and they're walking through the sick camp, and the rhythm is just like plop, 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 you know, like trudging through the mud, and the rhythm of what he's saying as he's following behind these people reflects that, and I was just like, this is genius, this is amazing. Yeah. And which literary device do I dislike? Let's go to the list of literary devices. Oh. And foreshadowing. Obvious foreshadowing I don't like. And that can just ruin a book for me. Where it's just like, okay, yeah, you know, this is obviously going to happen. What's the point of reading anymore unless, you know, they're going to twist it around. But, you know, if they're doing an obvious foreshadowing, maybe they're not very good with plot twists either, so. But I do like foreshadowing when it's not obvious, unless you're doing like a reread, which I've noticed a lot of foreshadowing that's not very obvious at all in the Wheel of Time series. Which character archetypes do you like best? I don't know. Character I don't know if it's necessarily an archetype, but I've seen it in a lot of books, and a lot of these books I end up liking, is people who kind of lead quiet lives, who just kind of want to be by themselves, don't want to attract too much attention to themselves, don't like strive to be different, but are just like naturally themselves different. I like that kind of character, like a quiet, non-presupposing person to read about. A good example of that actually is in Janet Frame's Owls Do Cry. So the character is different in that they don't say it outright, but I believe she has schizophrenia. And she just wants to just be herself and be left alone and just go about her life, and you know, that kind of character I really like. What is your favorite book setting? In general, I don't really know, or to be honest, care that much about setting, because I don't know. But a really good book setting that I just recently read was from Escaping Exodus by Nikki Drayden. Look, I remembered a name. Don't ask me the characters' names. But they're on this space beast. And they make it into a ship. And, oh, I can't spoil it, but there's this one scene where they kind of enter into a different part of the ship that's not normal, and that was just amazing. And even the way the houses are set up, the houses of the common people, they're set up in that, like, it's all just like one big long house, like it's a long house, and there's no walls or curtains or anything, so you just have to like pretend that you're not looking at your neighbor on the toilet. I thought that setting was absolutely fascinating. What are your favorite romantic tropes? None. I don't like romantic tropes. I don't like romance. If it can be avoided at all possible, please do so. Don't force romance into your books. I'm saying this as someone who's asexual and aromantic, of course, so, you know, take that with what it is. You know, I would rather not have romance shoved in there. So yeah, I prefer friendships. Friendships and family relationships I'd rather read about than romantic relationships. So that is the tag. I'm incredibly thirsty from filming, so I'm going to cut that off now because that's all the questions anyways. Thank you for watching.